Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
You know, they still need Kelsey to beat Kelsey at times. I think they will baby him again. He won't be out there for 70, 80 plays. He's going to be out there for 55 plays, somewhere in that range here to keep him healthy as the season goes on here. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Plus the backup tight end there, he has some big games as well. So I think Kelsey is still very usable, but I think what you want to be careful about is you don't want to draft the name anymore.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, let's make it happen. Game Time Decisions is with you on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh here as we get set for a full slate of Major League Baseball action, expecting and hoping for a ton of home runs. The WNBA tonight with 3 games, which will include the return of Cameron Brink for the LA Sparks and plenty of other spaces for us to stop, including the debut of Kevin 7, which today will headline with the 7 teams that I am considering for my possible Super Bowl future. There's only going to be one when it's all said and done, but right now that list sits at 7 teams. We will do that in 30 minutes, so make sure you are locked in right here on Game Time Decisions. Our main event will come from the WNBA tonight with Cameron Brink making her return, but the Major League Baseball board is calling our name because we've already played a 20-run game between the Orioles and the Jays, and maybe we're going to have another explosive matchup at 6:35. Tank Tuesday stops in with Jackson Holiday from our guy Pat at a plus 520 price. Let's go national crazy, apparently. AJ goes with James Wood. Sam Yarnell goes with CJ Abrams. Casino Chris feeling the love with me in that Tigers Diamondbacks game. He goes Ketel Marte. I'm fading Mr. Yes Hitter Brandon Fott with Riley Green, who is more than due for a home run at a plus 340 price. Everybody coming correct on that slate there, as that 340 number is the shortest that you will find. Riley Green is one of 6 hitters for me today who I am playing for a home run. We will get to those in just a moment. But I do want to talk a little bit more about your WNBA slate tonight and the return for Cameron Brink and what this could possibly mean for the LA Sparks. Initially, I think a Cameron Brink return, albeit noteworthy, could be one of those things that may go under the radar, because the Sparks were a team who really struggled to start the beginning of this WNBA season. They found themselves sitting 6-14, one of the worst records in the league. They have now won 5 in a row. taking advantage of a couple of games with Connecticut and Washington, and then a buzzer beater win with Rickea Jackson, who is absolutely starting to piece together her sophomore season for LA. And Rickea was a part of the draft class with Cameron Brink being the second selection. With the way the WNBA standings are this season, yes, 11-14 is not super encouraging for the Sparks, but not all hope is lost. The Valkyries sit above them by just a half game. I think it's a team who had an incredible run, but is kind of trending back down. The Mystics at 12-13 still project to get over their win total from the preseason, but they're starting to come back to reality. And here you see the Sparks tonight playing the Vegas Aces. And this is not an injury-priced number. The Aces are not missing Jackie Young or Chelsea Gray, and certainly not Aja Wilson. And it's a very close spread. Yes, LA is home, but it shows how vulnerable Vegas has been this season. What do we expect from Cameron Brink tonight? Her 10-plus points prop is out in the market at plus 270. Books right now unwilling to give a straight over-under for Brink, it feels, in that market, at least in some of the areas that I've been looking. It does seem to be, though, that you can find 6+ at minus 120 or even an 8+ number on Brink as you continue to try and find those options out there. I think the difficult thing in betting on or against Brink is not necessarily knowing what that workload is going to be. Also, Cameron Brink's impact for LA is supposed to primarily be on the defensive side of the basketball. She profiles as one of the best and most impactful rim protectors that the WNBA could offer. That is one of the reasons I played under 175.5 in this game. That number has come down in some spots. We're seeing a 175 flat. We're seeing a 174.5 in some areas. So the number moving correctly, I get the best of that number. Again, you can get minus 175. But I expect lower scoring basketball. I think that this total is ticked up because of the run that the Sparks are on. And look, give them credit, scoring 90 or better in 5 straight games. I'll challenge that happening a 6th straight time. I'm willing to take a stand that that's not going to be consistent for this Sparks team. And I'm not interested in backing Vegas, coming off of an excellent offensive game, to do it again. This is a Vegas Aces team who has struggled mightily with consistency. Despite, I think maybe in my heart of hearts, not giving up on their title hopes, because there's still so much talent on the roster. But it's a Vegas team who has not been able to get over 500, except for a time, the last time was June 7th. They were 4-3. The most they've been able to get over 500 was when they sat 4-2. It's been a long time. And this is an Aces team who, again, is in a coin flip situation tonight against the Sparks, and they follow it up with a home game against Minnesota. So it wouldn't surprise me if this Vegas team is 13-15. By the time you get to next week, that's the caliber of basketball that they've been playing this year. I feel when I initially saw this game, I thought, oh, Vegas, come on, they're rolling. This is a good spot. Let's get to the number. I just have to back away. But I do think this is an under game tonight, and I'm playing it as such, playing the under in the Cam Brink return at 175.5. Other games on your WNBA slate tonight. It's the Atlanta Dream and the Golden State Valkyries. Atlanta right now checks in as an 8.5-point favorite. Still no Ryan Howard, so that gives you an idea of how the booking is going to look for Golden State. It's also Atlanta getting a ton of credit, though, as they finished out a road trip with wins against Phoenix and Minnesota. First team to beat Minnesota on the road this year. Atlanta sitting right now 15-10 with an 8-3 record at home. And then we've got Washington and Chicago. It's a Mystics team who enter as a 7.5-point favorite. Chicago will be getting Angel Reese back, but this team is really cratered. Ariel Atkins, unavailable, and I don't know when we expect Ariel Atkins back, who's this team's leading scorer. Angel Reese playing, that's great. I think it's hard to know how much necessarily you're going to get out of Angel now because she is missing games. not regularly, but a little more frequently than you would want to see for the most impactful player on Chicago. I'm not comfortable laying 7.5 with the Mystics, but this is a Sky team who I tried to back coming out of the break against Minnesota. It did not work out, and I'm right now kind of keeping at arm's length, I feel, with the way this slate shapens up. So once again, tonight, we have the Sparks and the Aces with the return of Cameron Brink. If you want to get involved with her points prop, you can find 6+, you can find 8+, you can find that 10. If you want to get crazy, there's a 15+ out there at 18-1. I don't necessarily think that's the lane that I'm going to be walking. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, let's talk more Major League Baseball. Where are the home run picks? Where are the runs? Where aren't the runs? All of that is next right here on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, let's get to the Major League Baseball board here, which has already started, it looks like, with some runs for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte with a single, which came after a Corbin Carroll leadoff triple. So the D-backs go first against the Tigers. Casey Mize struggling early. We are going to see if Baltimore can work out of trouble against Toronto. I'm seeing bases loaded, 2 outs in that game. And the first half of Guardians-Rockies is scoreless as Colorado is coming off of a win yesterday. Let's get to the best bets here with a number of options from our team. Casino Chris going to go both teams to score 3+ runs in Cardinals-Brewers. Yesterday, Mizorowski rocked early but it's all strikeout stuff from one of the stars of the Milwaukee Brewers. So he went through his 5.5 Ks prop. The offense woke up as that game went on, and Milwaukee took the first game of that series. He's looking for runs, both teams to score 3 in Priester Rhea. Some tennis action. Here we are now. All right. So listen, we're getting versatile then. Over 20.5 games. Zverev and Walton. Get excited about it. That's what I said. Nats money line plus 105 for AJ. I'll be honest, a little back and forth between myself and AJ pre-show. I refuse. The Astros will lose again to the Nationals. And you might be like, you said that yesterday. No, I said they wouldn't lose again. They hadn't played the Nationals yet. Now I'm saying they won't lose again to the Nationals. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Washington will get the job done. Pat goes under the 8.5 in Yanks Rays. I like it. I played it a little bit earlier, a little more expensive at 9, minus 122. But I really like the look there from Pat. Max Fried gets the baseball. He's got to be right. Joe Boyle's been solid in what he's given Tampa Bay. That's a weather number. I understand it's hot in the Bronx. I think that number's a little too inflated. Play the under 8.5 at even money. If you can find the 9s, not too expensive, minus 120 range, I think that's worth it. That's one of a few totals that I'm going to play today. My favorite total, though, comes out west in the Bay over the 8. Verlander, Falter. Giants, Pirates, over 8. This is at minus 110, where I think you have got a double sell spot here on these two starters, most notably Justin Verlander. Finally picks up his first win of the season. Justin Verlander, could he possibly end up a 300-win guy? And I think he needed to have a good season here at age 42 to feel that that was possible. Well, through his first 16 starts, Justin Verlander was 0-8 record-wise and 0-for-16 in attempts to record a win. Finally gets it done. He's scoreless through 5 as they get a win against Atlanta. Sell. Justin Verlander is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. Gets in as easy as they come. Justin Verlander, though, I think will be hit by Pittsburgh tonight. I think Bailey Falter will be hit as well. His most recent outing was 7 innings of great work against the Detroit Tigers. Gave up 1 earned run, only 4 hits, 8 Ks. Prior to that, he'd given up 3+ in 3 straight. I think you're going to see Falter and Verlander hit in this game. I'm playing over the 8 in Giants Pirates. The other 2 totals on the card for me tonight, it's an under 9.5 Royals Braves. I think Seth Lugo can pitch really well and be the anchor on this under. But I'm going to give Eric Fetty the same chance that Atlanta is giving Eric Fetty. Fetty was awful in St. Louis. There's no other way to look at it. He got worse and worse and worse as the season went on. There was a point in mid-May where he was pitching to a 3.44 ERA. By the time he was let go, it was a 5.2. That's how bad things were getting for Fetty. I understand St. Louis cutting bait. But I also think that perhaps suggests that Atlanta will be smart with Fetty here. If he gives you a relatively clean 4 innings, they're going to get him out of there because they know at any moment he could potentially blow up. I think under 9.5 is a nice little shot there. And then we're going to go over the big number late night Nays Mariners. But this is runs. Luis Severino, I think he might let the guys know it's coming. He might just wave it to the plate, let them know it's going to be a fastball down the middle. I can't believe I'm still here in Sacramento. Get me to contender. I hate it in this park. One final go-around of getting absolutely lit up in this game. And then Logan Evans is more the same. I think Logan Evans will be taken to task by this A's lineup with Soderstrom, Nick Kurtz, Rooker, whomever it may be tonight. The Butler did it. There's plenty of options tonight. Langoliers is in the mix. I think the A's score plenty. I think the Mariners score plenty. I think that game gets through the 10.5. Let's talk some home runs here with the people, though, because I don't want to leave everybody waiting too much. We've talked about our crew tanks. I got a tank team, all right? We got 6 guys for a home run. Riley Green is already in action at plus 340. We played Ohtani at 2-1. I think Shohei is going to hit a home run in the first inning here off Lodolo. Lodolo's been bad against lefties. Ohtani's got the batting average against lefties this season up to 292. I think Shohei gets the job done in a game yesterday that unfortunately couldn't get over the total. Logan, hope, we need some hope. Let's get the Angels game. I think that game could get over 2.5 total home runs there. Corbin's vulnerable. Kikuchi's a little vulnerable there, but I like Logan O'Hoppe to go for a home run at plus 450. We're going to go with O'Neal Cruz. I wanted to get somebody in that game between the Giants and the Pirates. Cruz, to me, was the best bet. I'll take my chance at plus 450. Same number for J-Rod, who's just red hot. Again, 10.5 total. I'm playing over. I think Luis Severino might be grooving fastballs across the middle of the plate there. Again, one final salvo before the deadline. Give me J-Rod to go deep at plus 450. And then Nick Kurtz at plus 235. It's a reasonable number. Nick Kurtz obviously has been incredible this season and is a runaway favorite for American League Rookie of the Year. I don't know if it's going to be a 4-home-run game, but I think it's going to be a game that finishes in a home run for Nick Kurtz at plus 235. I think we've got ourselves a really nice number here for one of the most impressive hitters, really, this season in Major League Baseball. So that's the tank team: Green, Ohtani, Kurtz, Rodriguez, Cruz, and then Logan O'Hoppe. We're looking for juice out there, people. Hopefully, we've got ourselves enough. Also, Detroit may get detonated on here in this first inning. We got eyeballs everywhere. Nerfy, Baltimore, Toronto. Whoa! Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's lock in here. We've got double Yerfy and a Nerfy right now to start this slate. Despite it looking dangerous early in Baltimore, Toronto, the Orioles were able to get out of trouble there. And then it was 3 up, 3 down for Baltimore in the bottom of the first inning. So that goes scoreless. Detroit mostly does work out of trouble, where that could have been a lot worse for them, with Arizona at one point loading the bases, but they work out of it. They only give up the 1 with the triple and the single. Carol Marte combination to start that game. Guardians, though, they find 2 in that first inning against Gordon. Tanner Gordon, it was an interesting spot because there was a part of me, it's like, this guy could be fade-worthy. But he'd actually been kind of solid to start. I mean, it was only 4 starts so far. I backed off that game, but right now it's Cleveland with 2 early against Colorado. I just want to re-rack our picks here for everybody on this Tuesday night, give you an idea of where I'm at, where the team is at, because at the top of the hour, we are going to do Kevin 7. 7 teams that I'm considering for my Super Bowl future. Let's not forget, and I won't let you forget, last year here on this desk, preseason Super Bowl pick, the Philadelphia Eagles. Most unbiased man in the history of sports media title, beyond intact. Just correct. That's all. Just correct. An incredible team. Will the Eagles be on this list of 7? We'll find out. We already gave a little sneak peek to the early line crew this morning. We know there's an NFC East team on it. Because, again, the most unbiased man in history of sports media, Washington Commanders. You made the list. We'll talk about the other 6 teams and a little bit about Washington next. Here's where your crew best bets stand, though, on tonight's slate. Some under action for Pat in Yanks Rays. Gets it at 8.5 even money. Some plus money shot there for AJ on the Nats going up against the Astros. Houston trying to snap a surprising losing streak now, playing home games against sub-500 teams, and they've just not been able to get the job done. We've got ourselves a little tennis action over the total of 20.5 games with Adam Walton trying to pull off the upset there. Cards, Brewers, each team for 3 is how Chris is going to play it at -110. The Priest and Rhea get the starts for their respective ball clubs. I'm going over 8. Giants, Pirates at -110. Falter, Verlander, double fade spot there. That game has plenty of juice. Home runs here. Some of these are already out of the starting gate. Jackson Holiday, Riley Green, Ketel Marte. But then it's the Washington Wild crew back there. My goodness, it's a Nats day. James Wood, C.J. Abrams make the list, going and attempting to fade Jason Alexander. We'll see. I quite like the Houston Astros in this game. I hate to say it, but I got to root AJ in. So that's what I'm going to do. But just saying. I don't know. You really think they're going to lose again? They've lost 5 in a row. 4 straight at home to the A's and then another at home to Washington. They've scored 1 run in 3 straight games. They've not scored over 3 runs in this 5-game losing streak. We're looking at you, Michael Soroka. We're looking at you. I'm just saying. I know the Astros are a little banged up. Look at me defending the Astros. What does it come to? This is the price you pay for when you're this unbiased. When you're someone who's willing to toss those biases aside. When you're willing to do that and pick a team like the Houston Astros to win the American League, and you find yourself, rooting. And, it's a team that right now, not super healthy, but still sit atop that AL West. But for now, Texas playing better ball, Seattle playing better ball. They've given a 5 spot there to allow them to cut into that lead. Need to stop the bleeding tonight. Need to stop the bleeding tonight if you're the Houston Astros. I tend to think they will. Maybe I'm wrong. We might as well re-rack it once more for you. Perhaps you're just tuning in because we're going to go Kevin 7 here at the top of the hour, so we won't have the time to spin the block on some of these items here. Tank team, Riley Green, Shohei Ohtani, Logan, oh, hope. Oh, hop. Oh, hope. Oh, hop. Oh, hope, oh, hop, oh, hope. I hope he hits a home run at plus 450. O'Neal Cruz, J-Rod, and Nick Kurtz. Total talk. A's Mariners over. Giants Pirates over. Royals Braves under. Yankees Rays under. Let's talk some Super Bowl next. Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh here as we bring you the debut of Kevin 7. We spent years, quite frankly, on that name, and we finally got it right. This is going to be one of those deals where sometimes we're going to do some rankings. We would have given you the top 7 quarterbacks at the time, top running backs, receivers, future options, best bets. All of it will be featured here in Kevin 7 on a weekly basis. But I thought it was appropriate as we are approaching football season. We get the Hall of Fame game on Thursday to go through 7 possible Super Bowl futures. There are 7 teams that I find myself considering for a Super Bowl bet. And you're not going to, look, I'm not doing 100 to 1s, 600 to 1s. I'm not giving you the Saints. Because we're going to look to cross the finish line, ideally, with this team here that we picked to win the Super Bowl in the way that I did last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's get right into this list. And I want to start at the top of the list for the team that has the longest odds, or the shortest odds, which is the Baltimore Ravens. Because the Baltimore Ravens are the Super Bowl favorites at mostly any sports book you look at. And when you go through this Ravens football team, you start to understand why. This roster is the only roster that could credibly challenge the Philadelphia Eagles for the best in football. When you look at the addition of Jair Alexander, the continued growth of Kyle Hamilton and Zay Flowers, the strong offensive line, the value added by bringing in Derrick Henry, another season for their coordinators, Super Bowl winning head coach, they check all of these boxes. And for Baltimore, it's a matter of, do you, as a better believe, Lamar Jackson will eventually win a Super Bowl trophy and then likely a Super Bowl MVP? I say yes. Is it this year? And am I willing to make that bet with this team as the favorites? That is where some of the hesitation comes in. Am I getting an appropriate price on a team that last year did not make it out of the divisional round? That a team that has struggled in the postseason historically with Lamar Jackson. Am I getting the right number for a team that may end up an underdog in week number 1 on Sunday Night Football when they make a trip to Buffalo? The second team on this list should arguably be the Super Bowl favorites, just given respect for what they did last year, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. The tricky thing for Philly is just how tough it is to repeat. Since 2000, a Brady team did it, a Mahomes team did it, and that's it. Now, I thought the Philadelphia Eagles last season on an individual year were one of the best that we've seen. And a lot of the core pieces are there. Hurts, Saquon, Mailata, A.J. Brown, DeJean, Carter. And a lot of those guys are young as well. So that is excitement, and that is a reason to believe that maybe Philly could be special. But it is hard not just to repeat as Super Bowl champions. It's been impossible to repeat in the NFC East. And do you want a 7-1 ticket on a team who, just by the voodoo of a division, can't repeat as a division winner and therefore getting a home playoff game to start? That's where some of those questions come in with Philadelphia, who do have a very, very difficult schedule. Sticking in the NFC, Detroit gets some consideration. The sell on Detroit, the case on Detroit, is the defensive side of the football. Getting Aiden Hutchinson for a full season, who grades out as a Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt level player. A secondary that boasts the top safety duo in football in Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, with perhaps Terrion Arnold ready to take a step forward in year number 2. That defense taking a step forward. It reminds me of how we made the case last year on Philadelphia. There are O-line questions. Philly had those with the Kelsey retirement. Of course, we saw Rackenau retire, Zeitler head over to Tennessee, but Detroit could potentially figure that out. The difference is, when you think about Philly year over year, they fired coordinators because they weren't good enough. Detroit lost guys that they loved and trusted in Aaron Glenn and, of course, Ben Johnson. And can you trust Jared Goff? And are you getting enough to trust this team with all of these losses at 11-1? You're getting, again, a much better number than Philly, who they spent a lot of last season booked in front of. But are you getting enough on Detroit? I think it's a legitimate question. The Washington Commanders make this list, in part just because I'm the most unbiased man in the history of sports media, and maybe we had to flex that muscle a little bit. It's actually because you have a Commanders team whose schedule, I think, sets up nicely and will give them a legitimate chance to not have to play in as many one-score games as last season, which I think is key, because occasionally then you could run into a little bit of luck. You have guys that can take step forward, and that's not just Jaden Daniels, but it's Mike Sandstrill. It's another good season for maybe Brian Robinson Jr. How about the rookie Josh Connolly or Trey Amos, one contributing on both sides of the football there? One for each side of the football. I really like Dan Quinn. Bobby Wagner is going to be forever good. But there are aspects of this team where I wonder, do I have a triple one-man show? Do I really like Dan Quinn but not Cliff Kingsbury? Do I really like Bobby Wagner but not the rest of the surrounding pieces? Am I starting to buy in a little bit to Jaden Daniels but not enough of his supporting cast? That's the push and pull with a team like Washington, and also being one of two teams from this division to make the cut could be enough to push Washington aside when we make this final decision. We stay in the NFC again because the 49ers at 20-1 are an obvious consideration piece. This is where you just see a great price. This is a team who routinely found themselves at the top of the Super Bowl market. And it's not as talented as those football teams, and it's not as sure of a thing as those football teams, but there's still a lot of talent here. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle. Those are all pros by any number you find. Same with Trent Williams. Is Brock Purdy top 5? No. Is he top 15? Yes. The push and pull is Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle Shanahan gives this team a really high floor. But he also has been in the Super Bowl 3 times, once as a coordinator with a double-digit lead, and he's lost it every single time. Do we trust Kyle Shanahan and some of the question marks that we have around their skill position room? Speaking of trust, 28-1, the Chargers make this list. I trust Jim Harbaugh, who's won at least 11 games in all but one of his seasons as an NFL head coach, who in his second year with the Niners won his conference and went to a Super Bowl, who I think alongside Jesse Minter in year number 2 have a very high floor for their defense, if maybe not the most talented group in the league. The offensive line is really good. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt. They bring in Mekhi Becton. I think Amarian Hampton could have a better season than Ashton Genty in terms of the rookie running backs. Ladd McConkey, a legitimate number one. Can we trust Justin Herbert in the playoffs? Because not only is he 0 for 2 with the record, he's 0 for 2 in showing up. That's just the reality on Justin Herbert. And lastly, the Tampa Bay Bucks, whose roster, I saw spots have them outside of the top 10. I think they have an argument for top 5. They're loaded with talent. They are absolutely loaded with talent. But do you trust all of it? Are you comfortable with Liam Cohen walking out that door, with Tristan Wirfs maybe missing 4 weeks, with the gamble they're taking on Hassan Reddick and Antoine Winfield bounce back? There's plenty of talent for Tampa Bay. Can it all click and make them worth that 28-1 price? Kevin, seven possible Super Bowl futures. When I make that decision, it will be one of the teams from that list. We'll take a break and be right back with you here on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, with you right here, it is Game Time Decisions, and Kevin, 7. I'm pleased with that. I hope you are. I'd love for you to let me know what you think of those 7 options. But also, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and it would be nice if I could just call on somebody. Let's just talk through some good topics, some good picks. And luckily, Coach James Young is right here with us in the mix on Game Time Decisions. JY, it's great to see your face, sir, as we got ourselves a really, really good night of WNBA action.
Yeah, we do. And obviously, maybe not one of the superstar players in regards to talent, but one of the most recognizable players makes her debut, and Cameron Brink tonight after 14 months missing through an ACL tear last season.
Yeah, that is our main event tonight, but we have 2 games at 7:30 that I know Coach is locked in for, and I want to start with Atlanta and Golden State because you have 2 teams going in much different directions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Valkyries, JY, have maybe now seen the peak of their season where they were 9-7 and things were great. 10-9, they've lost 4 of their last 5. Where the Dream, without Ryan Howard, come back home when they just closed out a road trip beating Phoenix and Minnesota. First team to beat Minnesota in Minnesota all season long. Laying 8.5. I understand it. How are you seeing this game?
Yeah, I'm laying the points with the Atlanta Dream. Obviously 3-1 against the spread. You said it, 2 outright wins versus, let's be honest, 2 of the top 3 teams in the WNBA along with the New York Liberty. And if you look at Golden State, 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. I think the other thing to look at it, Kevin, is Kayla Thornton's out. Golden State was such a great story, but people don't look at what Kayla Thornton has done. And Kayla Thornton has been in the league for 9 years. So this was her career high in points. 3-point attempts, 3 points made. I know the percentage wasn't there, but you brought a level of defense and a level of toughness to that Golden State Valkyries team. They're going the other way. Take the better team, take the deeper team, take the healthier team, take the home team. That's the Atlanta Dream minus a point tonight versus the Valkyries.
Do you feel, Jay, are you getting a vibe around Atlanta that with a healthy Ryan Howard, they could make a little noise when this postseason comes around?
Yeah, I think you could shop around, folks. Some books are even having right now odds to make the semifinals. And right now, Kevin, they were at plus 114, 120 before the win, and now they're at even money. Here's why I think they're dangerous. Number 1, you got to have a closer. Alicia Gray is the closer. Number 2, you got to be able to rebound the ball. Well, try and guard Brianna Jones and Brittany Griner, who just turned back the clock over the weekend versus Minnesota. And then you add Ryan Howard. If they can get Ryan Howard back and get her going, that is a team that in the playoffs, Kevin, where the game slows down and you rely on defense and you rely on rebounding with dealing with Brianna Jones and obviously BG, that's going to be a problem. Start to look at that based on the matchups. About even money you can find the Atlanta Dream to make the semifinals, meaning you just got to win their first round series.
All right, let's be real, JY. 2 teams that won't be making the semifinals this year. It's the Mystics and the Sky. And that's all right. Listen, you can try and find bright spots in seasons like this. And I think for Washington, especially with Sonia Cintron and some of the work that they've even seen from Kiki Irifan, I think there's probably excitement with Washington. For Chicago, I think it's really tough because some of Reese's best basketball, you're like, oh, man. And now Camilla's coming back from overseas play. And then Ariel Atkins gets injured. And then Reese starts dealing with some injuries. And it's just started to really pile up on this Chicago team, who now have the second worst record behind the Dallas Wings in the WNBA. And that's how you get a situation where a Washington Mystics team is laying 7.5 points at home.
Yeah, the Washington Mystics team that's 4-3 against the spread, Kevin, their last 7 games. Let's be honest, the 3 times they've lost against spread. Phoenix, nothing wrong with that. And then the LA Sparks, who secretly may be playing as good as anybody in the WNBA right now, winners of 5 games in a row. Chicago, 0-5 against the spread. Obviously, Atkins down. Kev, all 5 games they've lost by double digits. They're not losing. They're getting smashed. Smashed. So, and it's an interesting thing when you look at a team like Chicago, because remember, folks, their first round draft pick goes to Minnesota in a 2026 WNBA draft. It's crazy. But the funny thing is they got Chicago's pick due to the Marina Mayberry trade last year. So I'm going with the Washington Mystics minus 7.5 points. But then also, right there, Shakira Austin over 7.5 rebounds, over 3 of the last 4 games, over 2 straight versus the Sky. Why? 6'5". And between Cardozo and Reese, Kevin, you notice neither one of them play above the foul line. So you need Austin to go get the rebound. Shakira Austin over 7.5 rebounds tonight.
Do you feel for Washington, just because you're a little more familiar with the game, JY, Georgia Moore, the Kentucky guard who they took last year at 6, is that someone that Washington thinks next season could be like in their starting lineup, or is she more of a complimentary player for Washington.
No, Georgia can run the point. And shout out to my buddy Kenny Brooks, who had Georgia at Virginia Tech and then took obviously Georgia with him to Kentucky, which he did a great job in year one. Got hurt the first day of training camp. Georgia can hoop. So now you look at this team now and you're like, okay, you got Georgia, and then you got Sonia Citron as your 1-2. You got Shakira Halston, who has had injury concerns, right? You have Sykes, you got Earhart. You're looking at Washington, you're like, man, like this team could be something in the years to come if they stay healthy.
Yeah, I wonder, where could their lottery odds go for next year? I don't know a ton at the moment, JY, about next year's class. Because Juju's not expected to really leave, right? What's the top of next year? Do you know? Olivia?
Lauren Betts. Lauren Betts is 6'7". And I think that's an interesting thing is watch a team like Dallas. Because if Dallas has, obviously, with Paige Beckers and Enrique, who's been a lot better as of late, they need a pivot to go in there. I know Yi, the kid from China, has been pretty good. That's an interesting one. Also, Olivia Miles, who got I was told, a good amount of money to not go to the WNBA draft and head to TCU for one last season.
Almost forgot about Olivia. That's going to be a really interesting season for her. At TCU, away from Hidalgo, and how that all plays out. Coach, you're going to stick around. We're going to get into this game next with Cameron Brink on the way back and what that means for the hottest team, arguably, in the WNBA. The LA Sparks, winners of 5 in a row. Can they make it 6 straight against the Aces? We'll ask Coach James Young next. Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions back with you on a Tuesday night. We'll update you on the Major League Baseball board in a bit, but it's Yerfy, Rays, Yanks, Nerfy, Reds, Dodgers. We're with Coach James Young going through the WNBA slate. Our main event tonight, it's the Sparks and the Aces with Cameron Brink returning. Let's put picks on the board here first, JY. What do you like tonight in LA Vegas?
You got to be looking at the over 175.5 in the matchup tonight. Kevin, listen, Sparks, the hottest team in the WNBA, winners of 5 straight games. Kevin, they've scored 89 plus and 5 in a row. But then you look on the other side, and they're 11th in defensive efficiency, the 12th in field goal percentage defense, and Vegas field goal percentage defense is 9th. I think that you're going to see points, and you're going to see a lot of points. This game will be up and down and exciting. Give me Aces Sparks to go over 175.5.
JY, this hasn't happened in a while. I feel like a lot of times we've had situations where, like, I'll be on a team total, maybe JY will be on a spread.
Oh,
JY, we're straight. We're head to head. I'm playing under tonight. I'm playing under. I think the Sparks run offensively, while super impressive, I don't know if it holds. I also think that Vegas, it feels like in some of the bigger games, we get unders out of them. Like, they're coming off a game where they scored 106. I'm not fully convinced they've figured it out. So we're a little head-to-head here tonight, JY. I mean, also, if Cameron Brink's going to help tonight, I feel like she's going to help defensively more than offensively.
But I don't think she's going to play big minutes. I think they got to ease her in. I think especially the play of Rakea Jackson's been good. But if you kind of go where I'm going with over 175.5, that's why I'm now going to Jewel Lloyd, 10-plus points. It's amazing that this kid who, listen, you and I have kind of got on, the kid could score. And the fact that her number is sitting at 10-plus points at plus money, shop around. Some place you can get it just at over 8.5. I just went to 10-plus at plus money. Over 4 last 7, 8 out of 10 versus LA. But here's the thing. If you go look closely at hit rate, ready? LA has given up 65% over hit rate for guards this year. Just look at the last game. Ionescu was at 18.5. She got to 30. Natasha Cloud got to 20. They don't score. They're going to get up and down. Jewel Lloyd, 10-plus points plus money, or over 8.5. Go shop themselves around. I think Jewel can get to 10-plus tonight.
The Lloyd bench experiment is a really, really interesting one for a team who has had to rely on Aja. It feels occasionally too much. And maybe for Lloyd, who is missing, I get to run the whole show here a little bit. Becky Hammond may have found something. We'll see, but it's definitely something to watch. With Cameron Brink specifically, JY, you're right. It's tough. We're not kind of sure what we get minutes-wise, but I'm sure you've been in situations where you have a player coming back from, an extended absence. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Cameron Brink out there, in WNBA action. What do you think the mindset is for the player, for the coach, finding that balance for her tonight?
Just get her on the floor and just let her figure it out. I wouldn't play her for long stretches. I wouldn't be looking at Cameron Brink live point. I wouldn't be looking at Cameron Brink live points or rebounds during the game because I don't know how her minutes are going to be skewed and how they're going to move their minutes. What's also interesting, Kevin, is Cameron Brink only averaged, I think, 7.2, 5.7 her rookie year. She wasn't really lighting it on fire. She was starting to figure it out, but she also was dealing with a lot of foul trouble. So the first matchup she's going against could be against Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That seems like foul trouble to me. That's why I wouldn't be touching Cameron first night against Asia Wilson. And then obviously the fact that she has propensity to get into foul trouble. And you just don't know how they're going to use her minutes in game one.
If I remember, and I'm kind of pulling up some of it now, I think the first go around we saw Cameron Brink give her a little bit of trouble, but Aja. So this is one of the things with Aja. Because the scoring has become so prolific, that's where we focus a lot of our attention. JY knows obviously everything I'm about to say. She also was like winning DPOI, right? So when she gets into one of these matchups, even if you're giving her some of a tough time, and for her it's relative, right? It's like, I held her to 18 instead of giving up 28. She's going to make it just as hard for you to score, and you're not as good as her offensively. And that is obviously a big piece of it. JY, really, really appreciate it. Helping us get set for tonight's WNBA slate. Best of luck with the action outside of maybe the total in that late game.
Over.
We'll be right back on Sports. Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve. You know, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. You know, the numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions back with you here on a Tuesday night on Game Time Decisions, again on SportsGrid. And we've talked through some of the teams worth considering for a Super Bowl future. Team, of course, who last year cashed those Super Bowl tickets for the Philadelphia Eagles. To talk a little bit more about the Birds, it's Andrew DeCecco here stomping by. You can find some of his work over at InsideTheBirds.com. And, Andrew, we appreciate you making some time. I kind of want to get right into it and just ask what you have seen kind of energy-wise from the Philadelphia Eagles, because I feel there's been so much made about the Eagles' mindset being forward, not back. We're not repeating. It's all about this year and what you've picked up being around the team.
Yeah, definitely. It's been very high energy, Kevin. And what the messaging from the team, really, it's to focus on being present, not worry about repeating or trying to accomplish what you did last season. They're not looking backwards. They're solely focused on the task at hand, trying to get better daily and do what they need to do to take those necessary steps. Now, Nick Sirianni often uses an analogy of being on a mountain. And right now they're at the bottom of the mountain and they're climbing the mountain step by step. They're not looking down and they're not looking ahead, because if you do that, you're going to slip. So it's all about the process, and that's what the team's focused on. And I think there's this inherent target that's on your back anyway when you're a defending Super Bowl champion. So the last thing you want to do is call attention to yourself or get complacent, and that's not the makeup of this team. And that all starts with head coach Nick Sirianni and quarterback Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and a lot of it starts with Hurts. Of course, I'm sure you hear all the chatter around Hurts, his placement amongst the quarterbacks in the league. Do you, from watching them, how are you getting the feel around this passing game, right? I know they didn't have to lean on it a lot last year, but when they had to go to it, it was very efficient. I thought it often didn't get enough credit for that element, the yards per attempt for Hurts, the lack of interceptions for Jalen Hurts. How are you feeling about the passing game early into camp?
So the past 2 practices, today and then Monday, the defense was ahead. But prior to that, Kevin, what I've seen from Jalen Hurts is he's in full command of this Kevin Patullo offense. Let's not forget, this is Kevin Patullo's first opportunity as being an offensive coordinator and really calling plays at any level. So this is a big step for him, but he's also going into year 5 of working with Jalen Hurts. So I think that there's that chemistry and rapport that I think is helping him translate favorably into kind of just immersing himself in this offense. But a lot of quick decisions, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and not forcing the ball where he shouldn't. But he also is taking more. I guess he's taking more chances in the sense of fitting the ball into tight windows. He's really operating the offense with a lot of confidence, and I think that's a good sign of things to come here as he leads this new look offense.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things. If I remember correctly, through a lot of camp last year, he had not thrown an interception, and people were like, "Oh, is he being too cautious?" I wonder if maybe this year he's letting it loose. I think one of the other interesting elements for Hurts this season, Andrew, and I wonder if you agree, it's not about this team needing to pass more because the running game won't work, but maybe they just want to lessen some of that workload for Saquon Barkley, who had 345 regular season carries and then all of that postseason work. How do you think the Eagles will look to lean on Saquon coming off of the 2,000 rushing yard season?
Well, they're certainly not going to abandon the rushing attack. It's among the best in the NFL. You have the best offensive line in the NFL. And Saquon Barkley, he had 482 touches if you're including the postseason. So that's pretty remarkable. But he talked this offseason about learning that it's okay to know when it's time to rest and balance that with your time when you're training. And it took him a while to establish that mindset, but talking to different resources and mentors, it kind of helped shape his approach this season. So he seems to be fresh. He had a nice one-handed catch today. He's been running the football effectively. I think you're going to see more of a balanced approach offensively because they have to. For the offense to evolve, you need to see a more balanced approach, and that starts with the passing game. But to your point, to lessen the load a little bit, they have such a diverse backfield. They have a second-year running back in Will Shipley who catches the ball extremely well. He's their best pass-catching player out of the backfield, and Saquon Barkley actually referred to him as the smartest back in the room. He adds another dimension and can be a good changeup. They also have A.J. Dillon, who, of course, many remember from his time with the Green Bay Packers as being this between-the-tackles bruiser. That would be a nice pairing to Saquon Barkley, maybe lessen some of the brunt that he's going to be taking in those short yardage situations or even closing out games. So I think it's going to be a collaborative effort in making sure that you're preserving Saquon Barkley for the postseason.
We're here with Andrew DiCecco talking a little Philadelphia Eagles. And Andrew, for Philly, the most negative stuff that people could say about the roster is they lost a lot of defensive talent, and that's going to then just put a little bit more pressure on Zach Bond, Jalen Carter. But there's one name, that I've seen pop up a lot from reporters and from even some of the Eagles players, and that's Jalen Hunt entering into his second season. What have you seen from the youngster who maybe profiles as one of the more surprisingly important players on this Philly defense?
Well, you saw me light up when you mentioned Jalen Hunt.
Yeah, I did.
I sat down with his trainer this offseason talking about what Jalen was doing to sort of prepare himself for an elevated role. He talked about him being asked to add weight to his frame, developing his lower body. But this is a player who he was playing safety at Cornell about 4 years ago. And the transition that he's made to becoming an NFL pass rusher who's now primed to start, and you look at the leap even from last summer to this point where we're at right now, it's been nothing short of remarkable, and that's a testament to the work that he's putting in. He's explosive. He's developing a pass rush plan, and he's willing against the run. I think that's an element of his position that often isn't discussed, but he's solid in run defense. But he's also developing more of a pass rush repertoire, if you will, and having a different approach in how he attacks tackles. He's just learning more about the game. He also went to the Pass Rush Summit this offseason in Las Vegas. And so he's just a wealth of – he's absorbing everything much like a sponge, and I think he's going to have a breakout season. He is my Eagles defensive player breakout prediction. I think anywhere from 7 to 9 sacks.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you keep the pulse of that Philly team, you can tell Hunt has a lot of – I saw Jordan Mailata was complaining about having to block him, which is about as kind of a thing that you could possibly see. Andrew, we only have a little bit left here. I did just want to ask you about the secondary because, listen, it was what it was. The secondary leap that this team took last year from one of the worst in football as when they closed the season to one of the very best in the league was remarkable, and a lot of it had to do with the two rookies, now sophomores, in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. What have you seen from that duo early in Eagles training camp?
Quinyon Mitchell has been, in particular, both players have performed well, Kevin, but I would say that Quinyon Mitchell has been exceptional. And he's now working on both sides of the field. And Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, has talked about the thought of traveling him with the opposition's top receiver if that's what's needed. And he's had some good reps against A.J. Brown. That's always must watch because I think they're making each other better. And then he had a nice play down the sideline the other day against Devontae Smith, denying him of a reception. And I just think that he continues to build on that. He's a quiet person, quiet guy, but he has a lot of confidence. And I think not only do you have to credit those two players, you have to credit General Manager Howie Roseman for the evaluation and defensive backs coach Christian Parker, who is a fast-rising coach who has done a remarkable job of developing not only Quinyon, not only Cooper, but you look across the board, Reed Blankenship, Isaiah Rodgers, who was there last year, and Tristan McCollum. There's a lot of players there that I think you can attribute that to.
Yeah, I think DeJean is clearly like a star, right? Like he's taken the league by storm. There's a lot of that. Quinyon Mitchell is the one who went in the first round, and Philly will look for him to be shut down. Andrew DeCecco, we really, really appreciate you making some time with us here to talk Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to take a break here. It's Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid on this Tuesday night. Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions back with you here on this Tuesday night. Let's update the board, figure out where the runs are and where they are not. Again, we saw the Rays go first. DeLuca tripled, bringing in 2, Yandy Diaz and Jonathan Aranda in the first inning there as somebody playing under. Not ideal, but it is early as the Yankees are a bit of a mess. There was a report, by the way, I think August 5th is the earliest Aaron Judge could return, and Aaron Judge is expected to DH at that time. It did push Aaron Judge back to an AL MVP favorite at around -160. Makes sense to me. That is Judge will have not missed enough time to justify Cal Raleigh being in front of him. Aaron Judge has been wildly better than Cal Raleigh this season. This is not a home run derby. That is not how you decide league MVPs. And again, it's not as if Aaron Judge is, Louis Arise here in this situation. That's where things stand there. It is now 2-1 in Toronto, Baltimore. Toronto grabbed the first two. A lot of triples today, no home runs. Ryan O'Hearn gets the triple and has now been scored himself. So we're tied up at 2 apiece as the Orioles are putting it to these Toronto Blue Jays. 2-0 Arizona still on Detroit. Rockies grab one back, but still trail big to the Guardians. That's 7-1. That game has 2 of the home runs. Manzardo has one. Beck just put one out for the Rockies. That's Jordan Beck on the home run, I believe his 12th of the season. Tommy Edman with the 3rd home run on this slate as the Dodgers are up 2-0 on Cincinnati. So far, Glasnow, a couple of walks, but isn't giving up a hit. It's still early in that game, but that's where Tyler Glasnow is as he works his way back into this Dodgers rotation. First half of Braves-Royals sees no runs. There were a couple of runners. Acuna was walked. And you get a scoreless first half of Brewers-Cubs, but nothing finalized yet inside those games. White Sox-Phils, by the way, yesterday with the White Sox pulling off that upset. This game feels like it could have a little bit of pop, but I don't believe I got involved with that game. I think I have like a Luzardo 6Ks under the hat strikeout special. Let's get to some headlines you might have missed around both Major League Baseball and the National Football League. I'll start on the NFL side of it because we covered a piece of this breaking news yesterday in Tyler Guyton, who was reported to have torn his ACL, and then just a couple of hours later, bone fracture. Whoops, sorry, 4 to 6 weeks, which feels like the best news you could imagine for Dallas. Right? Like if you were to get Tyler Guyton out 4 to 6 weeks yesterday, you'd be like, man, that's tough. We kind of can't afford stuff like that. And instead, when you thought you were going to be without an important piece of that offensive line for a full season, you feel a lot better about it. Tyler Guyton's going to be an important piece of that Dallas offensive line. The Dallas offense has the potential to be really good and really prolific because I don't think the defense has enough, despite having Micah Parsons, assuming they'll have Micah Parsons. You can't afford loss. Like the Dallas margin for error is not there. Not with a year number 1 head coach in Schottenheimer, and not with a team who looks to be as one-sided as they look. Some other injury news. Isaiah Likely injured his ankle, and he's going to miss a little bit of time. It's hard to tell because they immediately are like, oh, he's going to miss a couple of weeks here for a rolled ankle. I don't know if a rolled ankle means that you should miss weeks. I just wonder if it basically is a situation where Baltimore is like, it's early, nothing to see here, nothing to rush about. We're deep enough at tight end with Mark Andrews still on the football team. We're projecting steps forward, in other areas with, say, Flowers maybe getting up a tier, Rashad Bateman still there, Hopkins comes in for Baltimore. So I think the missed few weeks looks a little extreme, but it's very likely, I think, tied to where we are in the calendar. Like if it was week 3, would Isaiah Likely be questionable for week 4? Yes. Would I think he already be ruled out? No. That's how I see it, at least. Some injury news in Major League Baseball. Jacob Wilson was placed on the IL for the A's. I think that might be most important in just the AL Rookie of the Year race. That was kind of over once Nick Kurtz hit 4 home runs in one game, but it is now minus 7,000 total runaway style. Nick Kurtz is one of our home run guys tonight. I think that's the most important area of the Jacob Wilson stint on the IL. And then you get double AL Central starters out. Basically, star of the show, Chris Bubich, done for the season. I will say there's a part of me that wonders if some of the Bubich fall off was tied to, an injury that was working. Maybe I'm covering for my guy who, again, at one point had a 1.43 ERA. But, he was never really this he could never get back to it for a stretch there, Chris Bubich, and is now going to be shut down for the remainder of the season, which is unfortunate for KC because of how he was trending. But look, big picture probably doesn't matter. Reese Olson going down for Detroit is far more noteworthy. Reese Olson had been solid enough for the Tigers when available, though not available a lot of this season. He got injured in May, didn't come back until July, and was only able to give him 4 starts before he is now shut down the rest of the way. I think it gives us an indication why the Tigers made the move for Chris Paddock, though if you're the Detroit Tigers, is Chris Paddock an answer? Probably not. Chris Paddock's not been very good this season for Minnesota. Screwball, we got it. You like having Flaherty, okay. Maybe Troy Melton becomes something. Maybe that you like. Casey Mize, I don't know, okay. But it's a Tigers team who now, you're going to, when you bring up the Tigers case, you start with the pitching because of Screwball. That Reese Olson injury is not insignificant, and the replacement, seemingly being Chris Paddock, is not the most encouraging on the board. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We will re-rack best bets, tanks, all of that before we get out of here, and let you know once again how things look for Kevin Seven. That's right here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. Shamar Stewart is having troubles before he even plays a snap. And he's seeing what's happened to the stars of this football team, by the way, right? The Higgins stuff wasn't super smooth. The Hendrickson stuff's not smooth.
But why pay him that big number where you've got Trey Henderson, who's an absolute superstar at edge? You always build a defense. Why haven't the Bengals been back to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years? It's real simple.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us on this Tuesday. A little programming note, back in the mix tomorrow. Walsh Wednesday. Maybe all the guests will be family members of mine. I think it's on the board. Let's go through some of the bets here. Some of these are already out of the starting gate, but your best bets for today from the team. Yanks raise under the 8.5. It's 3-0 heading into the bottom of the 3rd. So it's right there. Nats money line from AJ AJ is also playing the James Wood homer, and Yarnell's playing the CJ Abrams home run. The rest of our team home run picks are off and running. Yarnell's got this tennis play. When is this tennis match? Like, is this a week from today? Rumors are swirling that it's tonight at 10. I mean, all right, over games. Can Adam Walton get it done? Luke Walton's cousin, I heard. I don't know. Brewers are the matches at 9. Brewers, Cubs. 3+ runs. Listen, root it in, all right? Root it in. This is one of the trickier plays of the day. There was a moment where it was written down as Brewers Cardinals. The Nerfy cash. When's the next time we get Brewers Cardinals? September 12th. I already got my best bet for that day. 3+ runs each team. Don't be scared to lock it in and get involved in the slate. And then I'm going Giants Pirates over the 8. Verlander, Falter, double fade. Verlander was able to get his first win in 16 or 17 tries? Great. Good for him. Pirates are lighting him up tonight. Bailey Falter, awesome his most recent start. Awesome. Giants are lighting him up tonight. This game's got to have runs aplenty. I really like the over 8. I'm on an under in Royals-Braves, which was a Yerfie, by the way. The Pasquatch hit a home run. And I'm on the under in Yanks-Rays as well. So we've got under 9.5 in the Braves-Royals, under 9 in the Yankees-Rays, over 8 Giants-Pirates, and then we're going to play over 10.5 A's-Mariners. I'm excited for that game. That number's been bouncing around throughout the day. A's are back as favorites. Luis Severino, I would think his last start with the A's. Maybe he's been so bad, though, nobody else will want him now at this point. It's why I've got double home run shots in that game. Give me Nick Kurtz for the A's. Give me J-Rod. J-Rod's hot for the Seattle Mariners. J-Rod might be back. Is that possible? Probably not. It's probably just like a solid baseball player having a hot stretch. Because realistically, the J-Rod might be back. Last 15 days, he's hitting 261. You know, I mean, he's hitting 300 over the last week with 4 home runs in that stretch. That's great. We're looking for more home runs tonight. But, you know, again, where's J-Rod trending? That's the question. Hopefully the answer is to the moon. We've got a home run pick on O'Neal Cruz tonight at plus 450. Hopping through the hope, Logan O'Hoppe, plus 450 as well. Ohtani and Riley Green already out in action. That's the tank team as we look for homers. Do not forget the WNBA. Coach and I went head-to-head style on this one. I'm playing under the 175.5. Aces, Sparks. He played over the 175.5. Speaking of over, Mystic Sky, my goodness, 30-27 at the end of one in that game there. Angel Reese with 9 and 5 early, so trending to another double-double. Sonia Cintron, fantastic with 12 points in that first quarter. Much different vibe in Dream Valkyries. 20-16 Golden State leads at the end of that first quarter. By the way, we'll be bringing this up throughout the week. You know that for sure. Kevin 7 possible Super Bowl futures. Here's what I asked the people. When you see those 7 teams, who should be most offended that they couldn't even make that list? Because there were 25 teams that I've already moved on from. I can't get there. Whether it be it's not realistic, whether it be they just didn't move me, whether it be the price. 7 that didn't make the cut. The 7 that made the cut, the Ravens, the Eagles, the Lions, the Commanders, the Niners, the Chargers, and the Bucs. Appreciate you stopping by here for Game Time Decisions. We'll do it again tomorrow. In-game live is next on Sports Grid.